Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be bringing you a little bit different style of a video. Instead of my normal thing where I have like the clip overlays, I'm just going to be here on camera talking to you about the biggest weight loss myths that I see all over the internet. So the first one I want to talk about, and this is one that literally everyone believes, is that if you want to lose belly fat, you need to do ab exercises. You know, you hit a bunch of crunches, you hit a bunch of sit-ups. You see these six-pack challenges where you just do 30 days worth of ab exercises for an hour a day. Unfortunately, you cannot spot reduce belly fat. So going and doing a bunch of ab exercises, while it's going to be really good for the abdominal muscles and it's going to help build strength and endurance in the muscles, if you want to be able to actually see your abs, you have to lose the body fat through a calorie deficit. Since you can't spot reduce, the ab exercise will burn calories, but they're not doing anything to target that specific area. Now, whether or not the fat comes off of that area from the calories that you're burning, that kind of depends on a lot of factors like genetics, how much body fat you have, that kind of thing. But yeah, one of the biggest myths I see all the time is that you can do ab exercises to get a six-pack. In the end, it's going to come down to how lean you are and where you're storing your body fat, and doing those ab exercises isn't going to make you lose fat from that area necessarily. The next one I want to talk about is just fad diets in general. You always see that the key to fat loss is going to be these fad diets like intermittent fasting or the keto diet or paleo diet, or really any diet you can think of that's a fad diet. So we know, I don't have to keep telling you, we know that it's going to come down to calories in versus calories out. But the idea behind a lot of these diets is that they put you in a form of ketosis, which essentially means that your body is breaking down more fat for energy than it is other sources. Makes complete sense if you're just, thinking of it as oh, I want to lose fat, so I'm going to break down fat. The issue with that, though, is that if you're burning fat for energy, but you're not in a calorie deficit, your body is going to take those extra calories and it's going to reverse that fat breakdown pathway. It's going to rebuild new fat. And then even though you were burning more fat throughout the day, you're not actually in a net fat loss because those calories have to be stored somewhere. And don't take that as me saying that keto diets and intermittent fasting and whatnot can't work, because they can. When you look at a keto diet, you're cutting out carbs, which a lot of people, literally people get 400 grams, 500 grams of carbs sometimes without even realizing it, because they're getting it from sodas and other sugary things that aren't filling in any way. So by reducing your carbs by that amount, you can actually cut out a lot of unnecessary calories. Exact same thing with intermittent fasting. By reducing the feeding window, if you want to do the 16 hours off, 8 hours on, a lot of the time, just by reducing that window, you're going to eat less calories in general. So it might not be because of ketosis, but the diets can be effective diets for weight loss. They're just not necessary, and they're not these miracle diets that a lot of people make them out to be. And that leads me into the next one, which is that you should always take this clean eating approach. I don't think that's necessarily a great idea either, because if you're eating nothing but chicken, broccoli, rice, those are good things to eat if you're trying to lose weight, but you shouldn't feel like you have to always eat that way. Because if you're not ever allowing yourselves foods that you like, which sometimes are going to be bad for you, there's usually good ways to make foods that you enjoy. But I'll eat a donut sometimes. I eat cookies sometimes. I personally just follow if it fits my macros diet, which just means that if I have the calories for it, if I have the carbs, the protein, the fats, whatever it may be, if I can fit it in, I'm going to fit it in. Because we know that no food is inherently bad for you. There's no food that you just can't eat at all ever. Because most things, it's about the amount that you eat. One cookie isn't going to make you gain weight. Eating a box of cookies probably will make you gain weight. And if you follow this approach where you feel like you need to just eat clean all the time, it's going to make you pretty miserable because you're going to miss out on a lot of life events that you're going to feel like you shouldn't be able to take part in. Like if you go to a birthday party and they have cake there, there's nothing wrong with eating a piece of cake as long as you're not completely overdoing it. You know, you're good the rest of the day. There's nothing wrong with going out to pizza with your family as long as it's not an everyday thing. It's a good idea to eat high quality foods most of the time so that when you do eat low quality foods like the pizza and the donuts and the cookies and the cake, that's okay because you're making up for it because you're eating well for such a large portion of the time. The next weight loss myth is that your hormones are making it impossible for you to lose weight. Now, I do think that this can actually be true for some people because your hormones do play a role in your metabolic rate, your hunger levels, where fat is stored, and that kind of thing. We do need to remember that in the end, it still comes down to calories in, calories out, but that equation can be affected by hormone levels, be it reduced calorie burn or making you intake more calories because you feel hungry or because of hormone levels. But the reason I listed this as a myth, even though it can definitely have an effect, is because for most people, it doesn't. Maybe if you have like hypothyroidism that's not being treated properly, then it might. I'm sure there are plenty of other conditions that could play a role. But for the majority of people who claim that their hormone levels aren't letting them lose weight, that's probably not the actual issue. But if you do think that that is an issue, I would definitely highly recommend talking to your doctor about it. All right, and coming up now is one of my personal favorite weight loss myths, which is that if you're trying to lose weight, you shouldn't be lifting weights, you should be doing cardio. I think there's quite a few issues with this, but I do think in general it comes down to a couple beliefs that people have, which are that like muscle weighs more than fat, which is true, muscle is more dense than fat, and that cardio burns more calories than weight training does during the activity, which is also true. You're more likely, if you're doing an hour straight of cardio, you're probably going to burn quite a few more calories than if you're doing an hour straight of weight training. Now, I do think the issue with that is that, for one, you can look at how we burn calories, which if you look at the largest part of the calorie burn equation, it's your basal metabolic rate. Now, that is directly linked to how much metabolically active tissue you have, such as muscle mass. So the reason that I usually recommend weight training over cardio, well, really I recommend a combination of both, but if I had to pick one, I actually think weight training is probably the better option because it's going to help you build more lean mass, which is actually going to help the number of calories that you're burning while at rest. Whereas you might burn more calories during the activity by building that muscle, you'll burn more calories just on a daily basis, which I think is a very good way to build the foundation of sustained weight loss. Doing a bunch of cardio might help you get the weight off, but it's not giving that daily metabolic boost that weight training will that can help you keep the weight off after you've lost it. And the final weight loss myth that I want to talk about, and this one's really funny to me because I actually worked at a supplement store for 2 years, is that fat burners and a bunch of other weight loss things that they sell are actually going to make a big difference on your weight loss. I'm not saying that fat burners don't work at all. I think that they might provide a small emphasis on the small calorie boost. I think you'll probably burn an extra, maybe 100 to 200 calories a day. My issue with it, and there's a few things. For one, it's the price. If you want to burn an extra 100 calories a day, just go toss in a little bit of cardio at the end of your workout. It's going to do the same thing, but it doesn't cost $70 a month. For two, it's the mentality. I think that people who go in and they buy fat burners, you can definitely do it in a way as you're just adding it on to an already good routine that would help you lose weight anyway to try to speed up the process. But in my experience, when I was working at that supplement store, people would go in and they would buy fat burners because they thought that it would do the work for them. Which, like I said, it might help a tiny bit, but if you're eating like crap and you're not exercising, probably not going to do anything for you, and you're just kind of wasting your money. So from a mentality point of view, I think it tells people that they can supplement their hard work by buying something that's going to help them, which just isn't really the case. I do think there are supplements that are beneficial. I think that like protein shakes or meal replacement shakes can be super helpful. I think that there are a few other things that can be useful for losing weight, because maybe like just pre-workout, for example, is going to help you work out harder. It doesn't have a necessary like benefit for weight loss, but if it's helping you work out harder, it's going to help you build muscle faster. It's going to help you burn more calories. And then there's also the issue of like negative side effects for fat burners. A lot of people experience like, nausea or like diarrhea or, any other, they might have some adverse health effects that you probably wouldn't want because certain ingredients in fat burners just don't agree with them. Headaches was a big one that I would always hear. And I think that a lot of the time, the ingredients that are used on those fat burners just aren't necessarily backed up by enough science. I'm not going to say that they for sure don't work, but I think a lot of them, there's 10 studies looking at this thing. There's 8 studies that show it doesn't do this, and there's 2 studies that show it do. So they're like, hey, look, we found studies that show that this does this. And then that's how they market them while kind of ignoring the totality of the research, which I think is kind of problematic. But that's going to go ahead and do it for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed the new style of video. Hope you learned something. Now you know what to kind of believe and what not to believe when you see all these weight loss myths all over the internet. Hopefully it helps you in your own weight loss journey. Go check out some of my other videos. I just recently finished the push-pull leg series, so if you want to go check that out, I will put that at the end of this video, and I will see you next time.